All right. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. Welcome to our weekly mobile coaching session. My name is Patrick France, Senior Instructor here at VectorVest. Glad to be with you all. Hey there, Jay. Good morning, Robert. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully you guys are having a good morning. So today has been a pretty big day on the economic news front. We've had CPI data released. We've also had jobless claims released. CPI data came in a little higher than expected. So inflation is still an issue, so we can expect to see the Fed continue to raise rates. But on a positive note, the jobless claims did come in a little higher than expected. So that does show that the jobs market is slowing down. So we have some interesting times ahead of us, and it's going to be interesting to see how this data progresses and how the Fed reacts to it. So hopefully everyone was ready to go for that, paying attention to that. Waiting for everybody to get in here. Once again, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. We should be live both on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you guys can hear me out there, type in VV Nation into the chat. Let's get those going. Also, if you haven't already, make sure, as always, hit that subscribe button, that big red subscribe button right below the video today. And also hit that thumbs up button to show your support for the stream. Doesn't cost you a thing and allows us to continue to grow the community here, the VV Nation community. So making sure everybody can hear me, make sure everybody can see me first and foremost, should be good. So with that, as always, what we like to do here is we first start to take a look at what's going on in the market here today. Then we'll dive into our topic of discussion. Then as always, we'll finish off with the fan favorite of analyzing any stock that you guys want to take a look at in less than 10 seconds. Also, I'm going to wait till everybody gets in here, but I did announce some big news yesterday. I'm going to make sure everybody's aware of it today. But I'm going to wait for everybody to get into the room today before I make that announcement. And it looks like that notification did go out, starting to see everybody trickling in. So once again, welcome everybody to our weekly mobile coaching stream. Jumping right into it, now that we have some people in here. Starting October 25th, I believe it is, the first Tuesday of the last month of this month, or last week of this month, I will be starting once again our Trading for Charity event, our second annual Trading for Charity event. We're going to be raising money for Levine's Children's Hospital. We have an official sponsorship or official partnership with Levine. So I'm looking forward. If you guys want to see some live trading, get your questions answered on how to manage your portfolio, how to use certain indicators, whatever it is that you have in regards to investing. We will be live 2 days a week, so Tuesdays and Fridays, here on our YouTube channel, where we're going to be raising money for Levine Children's Hospital. So I'm going to need your guys' help. We have some big goals set for ourselves, more details to come, but I'm not going to be able to do it without you guys. You guys showed up and far exceeded expectations last year, and I'm excited to see what goes on this year and see the money we can raise to help kids in need during the holiday season. So I look forward to seeing you all there as well. All right. Patrick goes long, hit the like button. Fair enough, Mash. All right. So once again, let's take a look at what's going on in the market. Then we'll dive into our topic of discussion, and then we'll finish off with the fan favorite here. So right now, the Dow is only down about 0.3%. The Nasdaq's down about 1.5%. S&P 500 is down about 0.8%. VectorVest Composite down about a full 0.1%. So once that CPI data got released this morning, we did see about a 3% swing in about a minute and a half. So we saw a drastic change in the market direction from pre-market until just that first minute after the CPI data got released. Westmere, good morning. Let's see. VectorVest pulls it out again. Overnight swing and Matt. Hey, well done. Glad to hear it. Good morning, Tashar. Hopefully you're doing well. All right, so that market action pushed our needle 2 ticks into the red. Therefore, the color guard is somewhat bearish, and VectorVest does not advocate buying any stocks at this time. As always, if you ever want to get an update on what's going on in the market every single day, make sure to tune into the daily color guard report, where we recap what's going on today, what to expect for tomorrow, what news you need to be aware of, and how to prepare yourself for the next trading day. In essence, watching this short video will make sure that you never get caught off guard with what's going on in the markets, and make sure that you stay on top of things here so your portfolio can thrive. So scrolling down a little bit, we get to the color guard. As we can see, we have those 2 red lights across the board. The price and RT are both lower day over day and week over week, so therefore we're going to see red lights there. Buy to sell ratio is still flat day over day, so therefore we see a yellow light in the buy to sell ratio. Now the prices are the prices of VectorVest Composite, which is an arithmetic indexed average of about 9,200 stocks that we currently track in US markets. The RT, cast on a scale of 0 to 2, is looking at the short-term price trend in the market. So since it's below 1, the short-term trend in the market is down. And then the buy to sell ratio, which looks at the overall health of the market, looking at the number of buy rated stocks compared to the number of sell rated stocks. Since we have more sells than buys currently, the buy to sell ratio is below 1, indicating overall market weakness. Now, the trends of these three indicators are comprised to come up with the MTI, or the market timing indicator. And as we can see, it does remain below 1, so therefore the underlying trend in the market is down. And Pecan Pie's coming in. Welcome to the VV Nation. Glad to have you here today. So after that, we'd like to take a look at the trend column, which shows two parts of the trend each and every day. The first part refers to what we like to call the primary wave, which shows the short-term or simply weekly trend of the market. As we can see, it is down since the price of VectorVest Composite is lower than what it was compared to 5 trading days earlier. Now, the second part of the trend is looking at the underlying trend, or the MTI. And since the MTI is above that or below that level of 1, the underlying trend in the market is also down. How do I undo that? Let me see if I can undo that. Didn't mean to do that. I don't know why that got blocked, Westmere. I tried to allow it, but for some reason it blocked it. Apologize for that. But yeah, the 3 things you've learned from this channel: 1, eat bacon, thanks to Glenn; 2, drink Celsius, thanks to me; and then 3, subscribe to the VectorVest channel. I like that. Make sure to hit that red subscribe button, especially if you guys want to be part of the Trading for Charity event. We're going to have a lot of giveaways, a lot of prizes to give away. So you guys aren't going to want to miss out on those. All right, so after the trend column, we then get to the calls column, which stands for our confirmed calls. And this is our most conservative timing system here at VectorVest. It's our last signal we get to get into the market and our last signal we get to get out. So therefore, we never want to ignore a confirmed call change. As we can see, we still remain in a confirmed down situation as of today. And now, last but not least, we do want to take a look at the advanced declines. And if ever you're going to be buying a stock on a certain day, you should always refer back to the advanced declines and look for a 2-to-1 bias. So if the markets are moving higher, we want to see twice as many stocks advancing than declining. And if we want to enter into the market to the downside, we want to see twice as many stocks declining than advancing. Well, right now we're sitting at about 23% of stocks moving higher and about 65% of stocks moving lower. So therefore telling us the probability is in our favor if we're playing the market to the downside and we're wanting to open up a bearish position here today. So with that, let's go ahead, dive into our topic. And I see a few of you guys already starting to talk about it. Socks this morning, what can I say? We have very best coaches. Thank you for that, Cecilia. And John coming in as a new subscriber. Welcome to the VV Nation, John. Glad to have you here this morning. Also, if you haven't already, hit that like button right now. That helps us out, supports the channel, doesn't cost you a thing, so helps continue to grow the VV Nation community and also allows us to especially going into the Trading for Charity event, to make it as best as possible here this year. So if you haven't already, make sure to do so right now. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to be looking at here today. So yesterday we had PPI data coming out. Today we had CPI data coming out. We have a lot of Fed members speaking. The markets are looking rough right now. There's a lot of worry that the Fed's going to continue to raise rates past the point of fixing the inflation issue and really putting us into a recession. But at the same time, you're already starting to see other central banks around the world starting to reverse their positions. You have the Bank of England doing QE for the time being, trying to help out their bond markets right now. So we're already starting to see some central banks out there backing down from their aggressive stance or their hawkish stance on inflation and now starting to slow down their pace. So there's a lot of confusion on what's going on in the markets because right now the Fed is really the main driver behind this downturn that we've seen in the markets. So how can you take advantage of it without worrying about, which stocks are doing the best? If you're just looking to take advantage of broad market plays and know, hey, if the market's going up, I want to be in A, and if the market's going down, I want to be in B. Well, VectorVest has you covered with our portfolios, our watch list that we have that will help you identify which stocks are the best to be taking advantage of at any given time, or which actually ETFs are the best to get or take advantage of at any given time. So if we go into the premium watch list here on the left-hand side, one of the watch lists we haven't taken a look at in a while is the indexed ETFs bullish and the indexed ETFs bearish. Now, as always, if you ever want to see, what any of these watch lists are looking at, just simply tap on that little eye. It'll give you a little description of it. But these come specifically from our weekly mobile coaching streams that we've done here. So when we go ahead, markets are moving lower right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at the contra ETFs. And automatically it'll bring the highest or the fastest moving ETF to the top and the worst performer to the bottom. So no surprise, we see SQQQ being one of the best performers here so far. SPXU, QID, which is a double. So regardless of what style of investor you are, if you're really speculative to aggressive, you may take advantage of the triple leverage ETFs. But if you're more prudent to conservative, then you'll probably want to look at the slower moving or non-leverage ETFs. And regardless of which one is your preference, you can find them here and find out which one is performing the best at any given time. So as you can see, this watch list is sorted by RT. So instead of looking at VST like most of them are, this is sorting it by that short-term price trend indicator or the relative timing. So the ones with the strongest short-term uptrends are going to be the ones that pop up at the very top. Robert's asking, what's your favorite use of notification alerts you use with the VectorVest mobile app? We can get both text and email alerts. Personally, Robert, I prefer text message over email, but I really prefer the in-app notifications or the little pop-ups you get on top rather than even doing text or email. Because sometimes email blockers or emails can block some emails coming in. Text you typically get them unless you've reported it as junk, then those can be blocked nowadays as well. So the in-app notifications are by far my favorite way of getting those. There's lots of ways to use them, but really alerts letting me know when it's broken above a certain level or broken below a certain level. That would be the easiest way and the most efficient way, so that way you're not having to watch a stock constantly. All right, hopefully that answered your question though. So yeah, getting back into it though, SQQQ coming in at the very top, we take a look at it. As always, whenever analyzing an ETF, VectorVest makes it simpler than anywhere else out there. Because when analyzing an ETF, they don't report quarterly earnings. They don't have balance sheets that you have to analyze and break down. So therefore, the fundamental indicators, the RV and RS, are always going to be pegged at 1. And therefore, the primary indicator to focus on is the RT or relative timing. All you need to know is if the ETF is in an uptrend or a downtrend. If it's in an uptrend, that means it's making you money, or it's doing what you want it to be doing, or its stock is, or the ETF is favorable. And if it's below that level 1, that would indicate that the ETF is unfavorable because it's not making money at the time. So we take a look at the chart. Looking at the chart, we can see a nice steady run here as of late. We had a pretty big run coming up into the middle of summer. Then all of a sudden, markets started getting a midsummer rally for a little bit on false optimism, and now the uptrend's starting to resume and potentially breaking to a new high as of today. So at this point, what you're looking for is, let's go ahead and put it right here. There we go. You can see that is our previous level of resistance so far over the last 6 months. We gapped up above that based off the CPI data, came back, touched it, retested that support or resistance level, which is now acting as a support level, and starting to bounce off. So as long as we can stay above that point, that tells us the uptrend still remains intact and that there's still money to be made in SQQQ. Looking at the MACD here at the bottom, you can also see a nice steady rise from this most recent run as well. It's above that level of 0, so it's not only in a short-term uptrend, but it's also in a long-term uptrend as well. Moving on to the next one, BERZ. So BERZ, similar to what we were just seeing with SQQQ, long-term uptrend based off the MACD and a short-term uptrend. Now, the nice thing is, if you're not familiar with what some of these ETFs are, just tap on those 3 little dots in the upper right-hand corner and go to View Report. And at the top in the description of the report, it'll tell you exactly what it's looking at. So, for example, BERZ is a FANG and Innovation 3 times inverse leverage ETN, so exchange traded note instead of a fund, and in the USA. So it's basically looking at the FANG plus a few other stocks, and it's a 3 times contra on it. Is it a good idea to hold overnight contra ETFs? So Asif, I mean, it is, because if you're in a steady, consistent trend, yeah, you can definitely take advantage of that trend there. But at the same time, you know, if you don't have a nice gain already baked in, if you're not taking advantage of it through a steady downtrend, you're getting in towards the bottom and the stock or the ETF or the market starts reversing, then you could find that you want to take your position off the table a lot quicker than you typically would, because they can move relatively quickly with those 3 times leverage. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, then look at, you know, a 2 times leverage or a single non-leverage ETF. Either of those are viable options. Patrick also overnight. Yeah, I've definitely held contra ETFs overnight or leverage ETFs overnight. As long as you have a plan in place and you can stay disciplined. So, you know, let's say you put your stops in with your broker. Well, all of a sudden the stock or that equity gaps and blows past your stop. It's a very real situation. It's happened to thousands of people, probably millions of people over the years. If that does happen, you have to have the discipline to just say, all right, I'm not going to get panicked. I'm not going to stick around and see if it'll come back. I just simply cut my loss, move on, just like you would with any stock. A stock could also gap up or gap down overnight, just like an ETF can. But people still buy and trade stocks regardless of the gap up or gap down. So yeah, you know, if you're not comfortable with it, once again, check out the single or non-leverage ETFs. But yeah, gapping is definitely part of the markets. But yeah, you gotta take what you're comfortable with. Don't trade outside your comfort range. Explain the resets to the newbies. I'm not gonna get into all that math here today, Westmere. That is a little bit too much math centric talking that we would have to get into to that. So I'm gonna hold off on that. SPXU, ultra short for the S&P 500. Once again, similar to what we were seeing with the S&P or with the QQQ, where you gapped up based off the CPI data, breaking to a new 6-month high as of today, and came back, retested that support resistance zone, waiting to see if we can bounce off and start to move higher, or if we start to come back down below that point. QID, so if you're not comfortable with 3 times leverage, QID is going to be a double contra ETF or a double leverage ETF. So what this is meaning, especially for anybody new, when I say leverage, let's take the NASDAQ, for example, or QQQ. When the NASDAQ goes down by 1%, a double leverage contra ETF goes up by 2%, and a triple leverage contra ETF goes up by 3%. So therefore, for every 1% NASDAQ goes down, QID goes up 2%, SQQQ goes up 3%. And just the inverse would happen for regular long ETFs. So where was it? Perfume brought up a good idea, I think, or brought up a good point. I think it's too late to get into a contra. Well, yeah, we looked what we were looking at the very beginning where the markets were. We definitely see that we are in grossly oversold territory. So at that point, if you're going to be taking advantage of contra ETFs, you should adjust your trading plan according to where we're currently at in the markets, which shows us we're in a grossly oversold point of the market. Does it mean it can't go lower? Or does it mean it will go low, or that it'll reverse and go higher right now? No. But at the same time, we still have the markets moving lower. We still have high inflation. So there is a good case for the markets continuing to go down some more even. So with that being said, adjust your plan accordingly. Don't try to shoot for the 20, 30, 40%. Day trade them if you will at this point, or trade them for a day or two, or no more than a week at most. Trade them for very short time frames to build some extra cash to add to your portfolio. That way, when we see signs that the market does start reversing and does start moving higher, we have more cash to deploy into that rally to take advantage of it, so that way we can compound our rate of return. But that's the great thing about these two watch lists, and that's why we've got you covered here at VectorVest. When the market does start reversing, when we start noticing those green lights showing up in the price column with the color guard, all those things, when we start noticing the MTI starting to rally back here, the buy to sell ratio starting to turn back around, well, we can, instead of having to find what stocks are doing the best at that time, instead of having to find all these different aspects, why is my list messed up? Somebody's messed with my list. All right, so I got to go change this real fast. Give me 1 second here. Somebody has messed with my watch list and it's not showing up correctly. So bear with me real quick. I can do this on the fly. Let's go here. Let's go. Where did I put it? Just got to find it real fast. Glenn did it. Yeah, I can't blame Glenn right now for that, honestly. This is something that, if anything, this is something that Glenn would not be able to do. This requires too much computer stuff to blame Glenn on. Why is that showing here? Okay. So somehow a lot of stocks have been added to this watch list that I didn't add. Why is that showing? Huh. I see. Okay. So somehow something in the database has gotten switched and it is changed. They changed the search that I built, my custom one that we built together, that populates this to a different watch list. Let me go ahead and do this. All right, so unfortunately, I am not going to be able to change this on the fly because it has changed on the database itself. So I'm going to have my database manager change this. So, all right, looks like we're going to be cutting things short a little bit here today. So basically, these are all the long ETFs on the major exchanges. When the market starts reversing, in here, after today's stream, you will be able to find all the bullish ETFs on the exact opposite. So on all the major exchanges, the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500. Let's see what else I have real fast. Looks like we have energy in here, oil, volatility indexes in here, silver, gold. So we have a lot of different areas of the markets. So instead of having to pick individual stocks, you can play the broad market movements. We get a primary wave up very soon. Let's see. Whew. What is going on with the market here right now? Has something been said? Well, major indices are all starting to rally back sharply here. The Dow's up over 1% in real time. Could be very, very interesting that we're seeing the markets rebounding like this. If anybody has any news, feel free to let me know. All right, so I've got to get that taken care of after this. In a moment, let's go ahead and start to analyze your guys' stocks. If you guys have stocks you want to see, go ahead and start putting them out there. I will start analyzing them here. But yeah, and then after today's session, expect to see that bullish ETF watch list be reversed back to what it should be. Don't know how that got switched, but I have to get in contact with the database manager to make sure that they change that there. All right, so first stock coming in, Exro. So Exro, poor long-term potential. It has a lot of risk associated with it. You're in a steady decline. Overall, the stock is not favorable. It's up 8% here today, still in a steady decline on a short-term basis. ZIM, and we'll use ZIM. We'll slow it down a little bit here, and we'll break down each indicator first and foremost. So the first one, RV, or relative value. Looking at the long-term potential of the stock over the next 1 to 3 years. At 1.89, that shows the stock has good long-term potential. All four of these indicators are cast on a scale of 0 to 2. So that way it makes it simple. Anything above 1 is favorable, below 1 is unfavorable. The next indicator is the RS, or relative safety, which indicates how much risk is involved with this stock compared to the average stock out there. For ZIM with an RS of 0.72 tells us there is more risk associated with this stock than the average stock out there. Third indicator is RT, or relative timing, which is looking at the short-term price trend of the stock. So at 0.39, that indicates that the short-term trend is down currently and in a strong decline as well. So then when you combine all these three together, you get the overall VST score at 1.12. That tells us the stock is favorable because it has good long-term potential, but the timing is just not right to have it in our portfolio. CROX, good long-term potential, average risk associated with it. You're in a short-term uptrend. Overall, stock is favorable. Let's see. DXCM, poor long-term potential, but less risk associated with it, so more of a conservative play. You're in a slight uptrend on a short-term basis. Overall, though, the stock is still not favorable. Let's see. LOCO, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. However, you are in a short-term strong uptrend, so therefore the stock is favorable. OXY, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. You're in a steady short-term uptrend. Overall, the stock is favorable. Should you sell LNG? Maybe that's for somebody else. LASE, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it, but you're in a really strong short-term uptrend. So for speculative traders, this is definitely going to be a prime candidate here to focus on. Therefore, the stock is favorable currently. MVO. MVO, good long-term potential, but does have more risk associated with it. Really strong short-term uptrend. Overall, the stock is favorable. Anybody got any news on what's driving the market right now? Because with seeing that big run up, it's kind of interesting that we're seeing that here. Maybe more false optimism. I don't know. Looking at SGML, good long-term potential, but does have a little bit more risk than the average stock out there. You are in a really strong short-term uptrend, so overall the stock is definitely favorable. All right, we'll do two more real quick. Let's see. GME. GME. Poor long-term potential. It does have a lot of risk associated with it. You are in a decline currently on a short-term basis. Overall, the stock is currently unfavorable. However, it was starting off a lot in the red. Now it's up over 2.5%, so having a nice reversal here. Cigar said, I looked, saw nothing yet. Man. All right, we'll have to see. All right, COP, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. You are in a strong short-term uptrend. Overall, the stock is favorable. All right, we'll do two more. I know I just said we'll do two more. We'll do two more real quick. LNG, you have good long-term potential, less risk associated with it, and a really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, the stock is favorable currently still. And then MugF doesn't show up there, Mark. No mugs today. Algo's pushing it up. I mean, it could be. It could definitely be. It could be, trying to get people stopped out of their positions. We'll have to see. Then last one for Chris, SRTS. SRTS, good long-term potential, but does have a little bit more risk associated with it. You are in a short-term decline. Overall, the stock is favorable, but right now tells us the timing is not favorable. So it's a good stock, just not the right time to be holding it in our portfolios. And as always, if I didn't get to analyze your stocks here today, if you are already a subscriber, just simply pull up the app, tap on the magnifying glass in the upper right-hand corner, and you can analyze any stock just like you've seen here anywhere on the go. If you're not already a subscriber, click on the link down in the description of today's video and sign up for the 2-week free trial and put it to the test yourself. Seeing is believing there, in my opinion. All right, so looking back at the markets right now, the Dow is now up 0.2%. NASDAQ is actually back in the green, up a little over 0.1%. S&P 500 up over 0.5%. VectorVest Composite up over 0.1% as well. Therefore, right now we have 3 ticks into the yellow, so we've changed from somewhat bearish to a neutral signal. And then scrolling down here, looking at the advanced declines. We have 45% of stocks, 46% of stocks moving higher, and 42% of stocks moving lower. Therefore, we're starting to see the bulls coming back and taking over here. So it's going to be interesting, and this is why today's session was so important. Is so that way you guys, because we are in oversold territory based on the buy to sell ratio, based off the MTI. Those have been indicating that we are at, or the market is starting to look for a bottom. But if you're worried about, that bottom and you're worried about the market taking off, well, those index ETFs, bullish and bearish, will help you out regardless of which way the market is going. So that way it takes the time factor out of it for you and helps simplify your own trading plan there. So on that, it's been my pleasure being with you. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. All that helps us out, continues to gain exposure on the YouTube side of things. So that way we can continue to grow the VV Nation community and make this Trading for Charity event we have coming up at the end of October. It's gonna make it more spectacular than we could ever imagine. So I look forward to seeing you guys there on that. But also we do have Trending Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern today. So if you want to see more of us, if you want to see Glenn, find out what's hot, what news is driving the markets. Maybe by that point he can dissect what's driving this rally right now. Go hang out with him, show him some support like you guys have shown me at 2 o'clock later, 2 o'clock Eastern today. So once again, thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your trading day. And until next time, toodles.